The Mysterians is an essential piece of Japanese science fiction cinema that stands as a glowing artifact of post-war Japanese genre filmmaking. Directed by the legendary Ishirō Honda and released in 1957, the film is a dazzling spectacle of visual effects, pioneering miniature work, and science fiction world-building. The film was heavily inspired by American sci-fi flicks of the time, like Earth vs. the Flying Saucers and The War of the Worlds. However, the filmmakers would take this basic concept and flip it on its head by throwing a kaiju into the mix. The film introduces one of the most unique and influential creations in the history of kaiju cinema, Moguera. While the film itself explores themes of invasion, nuclear anxiety, and humanity's collective response to extraterrestrial threats, Moguera, the massive mechanical menace, steals the show in a way that cements its status as an unforgettable design in the kaiju canon. The plot of the Mysterians revolves around a group of extraterrestrials, the titular Mysterians, who arrive on Earth under the pretense of seeking a small tract of land and the right to interbreed with human women to save their dying race. As one might expect from these movies, their true intentions are far more sinister, and their sophisticated technology, which includes everything from energy weapons to advanced spaceships to, of course, Moguera, puts humanity at a severe disadvantage. But before the Mysterians reveal themselves fully to Earth's government, they send out a terrifying harbinger, Moguera. It is a brilliant way to set the stakes for what is to come, demonstrating that these invaders possess weaponry unlike anything humanity has ever faced. Moguera is not merely a robot, it is the embodiment of brute, unstoppable force. The way it methodically tears through the village, destroying shrines and flattening anything in its path, immediately asserts its dominance. No matter what the local police or defense forces throw at it, Moguera remains as a force to be reckoned with. The visual design of Moguera is one of the film's standout elements. This robot with its segmented body and mismatched color palette feels both mechanical and otherworldly. The bluish-green limbs and the golden drill nose just give it this appearance that's so classy, so, 1950s sci-fi, but still feeling very unique in its own right. There's a bulkiness to Moguera that makes it seem as though it was forged with pure functionality in mind. A robot built not for grace, but for obliteration. The head of Moguera is perhaps what I think is the most fascinating feature, with its drill nose protruding forward and its eyes sitting atop the head, flaring outwards. It looks like an industrial machine repurposed for battle. Those glowing eyes give the impression that Moguera is constantly surveying its surroundings, ready to target anything in its vicinity. And those antennas that swivel back and forth, it's a nice touch of sci-fi flair that also serves a functional narrative purpose, as Moguera tucks them away when it's ready to burrow underground. Yes, this robot can also dig. I think that's just so cool. I love when giant monsters dig underground. It's an ability that makes Moguera even more menacing than a standard giant robot stomping through a city. Moguera's drill nose isn't just for show, it's designed to bore through the earth, allowing the robot to travel beneath the surface like some monstrous mechanical mole. The scenes where Moguera 2, I guess, but still Moguera, burrows underground are a testament to the ingenuity of the film's special effects team. In an era long before CGI, the filmmakers had to rely on practical effects, models, and creative camera work to bring this sequence to life. And they did so incredibly well. As if I haven't praised him enough on this channel, Eiji Tsuburaya might very well be, in my opinion, the best special effects director to ever walk this earth. The sight of this massive machine tunneling through the earth is both awe-inspiring and terrifying. So much of this just adds an element of intelligence to Moguera that it elevates it beyond just being a mindless weapon. It becomes clear that Moguera is part of a larger strategy employed by the Mysterians, and its actions are calculated to weaken humanity's defenses before the real invasion begins. The climax of Moguera's rampage comes when it faces off against the Japanese self-defense forces. This is where the film's action hits a fever pitch. The human forces, armed with rifles, machine guns, and even flamethrowers, throw everything they have at the metallic behemoth, but their weapons prove ineffective. The entire scene paints a vivid picture of humanity's desperation in the face of an overwhelmingly powerful foe. But the filmmakers don't leave the audience entirely without hope. In a clever bit of tactical ingenuity, the military lures Moguera to the edge of a bridge that has been rigged with explosives. When the trap is sprung, the bridge collapses under Moguera's weight, sending the giant robot tumbling into the river below, where it ultimately explodes in a fiery blaze of destruction. It's a satisfying conclusion to the robot's rampage, but also a bittersweet victory. Moguera may be destroyed, but the Mysterians remain. Moguera's design and role in the Mysterians has had a lasting impact on science fiction and kaiju films. While it is kind of obscure compared to like Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, it's still classic. In my opinion, it's one of the most iconic mechanical monsters in Japanese cinema. A later version of Moguera would also appear in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla in 1994 with significant upgrades, but still retaining many of the core design elements that made the original Moguera just so memorable. I know that a lot of people prefer the Heisei Moguera over the Showa one, but to me, there's just something about that teal and gold color palette that just works so well. The fact it looks like a bug, too, just makes it feel even weirder and more alien, otherworldly-esque. Thematically, Moguera serves as a metaphor for the unstoppable force of technology, whether that be nuclear technology or just, I guess, technology in general that is being wielded without concern for the consequences. This was a very common theme in post-war Japanese cinema, mainly in the works of Ishirō Honda, who often explored the destructive potential of advanced technology in films like Godzilla. Enough yapping now about the robot. It's just my favorite element of the entire movie. The Mysterians, the film, offers a compelling narrative that taps into Cold War anxieties. The Mysterians, with their demand for human land and women, represent an existential threat to national sovereignty and human autonomy. Their advanced technology and seemingly benevolent facade hide a more sinister agenda, mirroring the geopolitical tensions of the time. The film asks pressing questions about how humanity should respond to such overwhelming threats, whether that be through force, through diplomacy, or through cooperation.
It gives me great pleasure to greet such distinguished scientists from the Earth.
It's a science fiction movie from the 50s. You're gonna get some badass fucking spaceships, explosions, and a giant monster, so yeah. In short, The Mysterians is a landmark in science fiction cinema. It's extremely underrated, and Moguera is the film's crown jewel. With its striking design, immense destructive power, and thematic depth, Moguera is more than just a monster. It's an icon of the science fiction genre, especially in Japan. If you're a fan of classic sci-fi, kaiju films, or you just want to see one of the coolest robots ever put to screen, The Mysterians is a must-watch. And with all of that out of the way, I'm Cole McCormick. You're watching Firewood Media. Right now, we're celebrating Halloween on the channel. So we've got a podcast where me and my buddy Billy from Woodstock Roadshow talk in detail about a lot of great movies to watch around this time of year. We go over Shin Godzilla. It's so good. And there's just this horror where, like, I remember in the theaters watching it, I was like, I want to say 13.
Oh, you got to see it in the theaters. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, it came out here in America, and my mom took me. I was like 13 at the time. And she loved it. And that was kind of a surprise for me. You know, we talk about some zombie movies.
I mean the movie line!
And that line just gets me every single time.
Yeah.
And even some movies that you wouldn't really expect. I love the Ronald McDonald stuff they used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.